They say that madness is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Maybe that's what love is too. You probably could have called me mad or crazy. Maybe I was, for trying to stay sane in a situation that never made sense. I've also heard time heals all wounds, and maybe it does. But I'm not here to be healed. I'm just here to reflect. Welcome. This is my inaugural show, and thank you for listening. I'm your host. You can call me the Mad Hatter. And this is my podcast, Reflections of a Madman. Because some days, it does feel like madness. Reflections of a Madman isn't your typical podcast. It's kind of like my post-divorce memoir, and introspective to preserve my voice that might have otherwise gone unheard. This podcast is about me, processing my thoughts and sharing them creatively. The content is about my experiences, my opinions, and my emotional reflections. Part storytelling, part healing, to help me understand what I lived through. I'll be sharing stories pulled from the realest moments of my life. My moments of doubt, moments of insight, and yes, my small victories in healing. This podcast is going to be a series of deeply personal and emotional dives into what I've lived, what I've felt, and what I've learned through my divorce experience, including my growth amidst this difficult situation. All framed through the persona of the Mad Hatter, a symbol of the chaos, confusion, and emotional distortion that came after my world got turned upside down. Because of divorce, co-parenting challenges, and rebuilding yourself. It's not madness in the way the world defines it. It's more in like the way, life feels sometimes when you're trying to stay sane while everything around you keeps trying to push you toward the edge. Like trying to build peace in a war that never officially ended. I'm not here for validation or entertainment. Rather, I just want to process what I've kept bottled up for so many years. I plan to share real memories from a real divorce while offering you, the listener, a window into my emotional experience. You'll hear frustration, maybe some irritation, and sometimes sadness. But underneath all that, you'll hear a man finding his voice again. Also, I think I need to say, this podcast isn't here to take jabs or call names. I'm here to speak truth from my perspective on my terms. Because if I don't tell my story, who will? Reflections of a Madman is a podcast about life after the papers are signed. This is what divorce doesn't show you. The micro fractures in co-parenting, the quiet disrespect, the invisible weight of constantly adjusting, accommodating, and adapting. And my hope for the direction of this podcast is for it to evolve organically. Look, this podcast isn't polished. I'm just using basic equipment. I have no podcasting experience and I barely have a plan. of how to put my thoughts out there to the universe. I'm literally learning this as I go. However, I don't need perfection. I just need to speak. Because what I've lived and what I'm still going through, it ain't curated either. It's messy. And if you're here, maybe you're going through, or maybe you have gone through something similar. For me, this podcast is part therapy, part reflection. At times, there may be blame or bitterness. I'm not an expert, but maybe through my mess, you'll find a mantra that helps you. Now, I don't really know if I have the words to tell you about how to get over your ex. However, maybe what I do have to say can help. Here's the thing. I'm not here to tell you how to feel. I started this podcast because I wanted to share what this journey has taught me about moving forward, about dating again, about healing, about finding peace. Some of this is going to be hard. Some of it's heavy. Some may even be healing. Either way, I'm not here to tell you how to survive divorce. I'm just a man who's living through it. So, if you've ever questioned your sanity in love or felt your story go unheard, you're not alone. This podcast will be just like me, human, flawed, and vulnerable. Think of each episode as though you are overhearing someone processing their divorce and co-parenting challenges in real time. Poetic and deeply human, with all the mess and meaning that comes with it. And that's where we begin. Not with answers, but with honesty. Crafted, imperfect, yet honest. Not angry, rather resolute. Each episode, I will unpack pieces of my pre- and post-divorce life. The custody exchanges, true personal stories, some quiet wins, and the private heartbreaks. In every story, you'll find a man trying to do better, trying to stay grounded. It's more challenging than it seems. Trying to hold on to his voice in a process that can make you feel like, well, you don't have a voice. And maybe, just maybe, you, the listener, may hear your own voice echoing back. So if you made it this far, thank you. Truly, thank you for listening to my first ever podcast. If anything I've said today resonates, if you've ever felt silenced by your own story, or wondered what happens when love fractures but life keeps moving, or felt like no one really knew what you were going through, like you're the only one struggling through a storm. Maybe you're still in it, carrying something heavy that no one sees. Or maybe, like me, you're a single father navigating a high conflict, co-parenting situation. Maybe you're just looking for something real or trying to understand what divorce feels like from the inside. If so, then this podcast might just be for you. My hope is that this podcast brings you a little relief and opens the door for you to say, finally, someone saying it. This has been Reflections of a Madman, and I'm your host, the Mad Hatter. I hope you'll subscribe to the channel, stick around, and join me for episode 2, where I begin to unpack my marriage, its ending, and now my co-parenting journey. Thanks for sitting with me tonight. Be well. The Mad Hatter signing off.